line is Jack. Shout out to Hip Hop Madness and most importantly, Mars fam. Shout out to y'all for tapping in. This video is copy and paste rappers 2.0. And I seen Corday as the thumbnail for this video. I don't know what this video is really going to consist of. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into it.
Brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Stay tuned to find out more.
Yeah, so it's always going to be something new. When a person...
Like, hold on. Like, I don't know if it's just me being out of tune because there be so much going on in the media. I don't be able to keep up like how I used to. I be having so much going on myself now that I'm getting older. It's a lot to keep up with. But what happened to Jack Harlow? I just know everybody was loving him. He had the first class joint, and I don't know. I got to check up on what's going on after this video.
Like come into sharp focus for the first time. And while some claimed that he held his own while emulating his hero, others believe that to suggest that he was holding his own alongside Drake, who said that Jack was going places in his verse, would be to overstate Harlow's talent.
This guy is nowhere near as nuanced and as layered as Drake was. None of the lines that Drake can normally spit in his earlier work, that comparison is just downright disrespectful. It's apparent when we hear a track like Churchill Downs, where even after adding a couple of additional bars to his verse, the gap between him and Drake is so big that you need the Hubble Space Telescope to cover the distance.
For now, it remains to be seen whether Jack will live up to his idol's success. Now at this point, we've come to the numerous artists who've sought to emulate the path of one of the consensus greatest to ever pick up the mic, in Eminem. An artist who had an indivisible role in bringing the sound of hip-hop to the mainstream and acting as a previously non-existent middle ground between white suburbia and the culture at large. Many artists ranging from Hopsin to J. Cole and his eventual nemesis of MGK have taken cues from Detroit's finest. However, one thing that's sprung up over the past decade or so, in which M's own stock among hip-hop has come under fire like never before, is that rather than adopting the elements of vintage M which made him great, such as his fearlessness or knack for gripping confessional storytelling and making them their own, there is now a subset of shady indebted artists who seem intent on just biting his modern rapidy rap style and suburban appeal. Among the main culprits who've come to fit into an M-shaped mold for a new generation is NF. Modeled after Shady to the extent that he even dresses like him, the fellow son of Michigan is so renowned for his similarities to Shady that USA Today once referred to him as an Eminem sound-alike in a headline. Not one to shy away from the effect that Shady had on him at a young age, NF openly told Idolator that he pretty much just listened to Eminem for 6 years during his formative years. However, if there's anything that we know about Shady, is that he's not one to take things like this lying down. And on The Ringer from his infamously combative project, Kamikaze, Mathers fired a shot in his direction as he spit, "I'd just be like everyone else in the industry, especially an effing recovery clone of me." In a similar vein as NF, another young rapper who's liberally pulled from Shady without making any apologies is Token. Having infamously turned down a meeting with M during his early career, the now 23-year-old MC has always suggested that he has the utmost respect for him. And when it appeared that Shady may have thrown a shot his way, he maintained that, "I'd be stupid to come at someone who I grew up listening to and I'm clearly influenced by."
Okay, at least he got respect.
Greatest off the Kamikaze album. M says, "No more shiners, already too much time. Token rappers, I hear you talking, I'm just too big to respond to it." Folks thought that he was talking about you. I'm glad you're saying it's not a diss, because he been serving up careers lately.
I get sent those lyrics all the time, but the thing is, to me, my automatic thinking is like, what are you talking about? Like, I still feel like I'm the same kid who's listening to Eminem show. I never took it as a diss.
Did you know that on average, there are around 5 million car accidents every year in the US? And a lot of those accidents happen during the holiday season. Even worse, a lot of victims don't feel comfortable suing for damages because they're under the mistaken impression that they be suing the other driver, a regular human just like them. Injury to the video. Next, we have Logic. Over the years, Logic has faced allegations of literally stealing from the catalogs of other artists. But even when he's been reproached by the culture for taking cues from the likes of Kanye or J. Cole, there's no claim that has dogged his career quite like the narrative that he borrows from Kendrick Lamar. Sparked initially by the song Everybody's similarity in flow and beat to Kendrick's Alright, this perception is one that Logic has steadfastly denied.
I think like what makes it a bad thing is like behind closed doors, people take a lot of hard work to come up with the creativeness, and just to have somebody steal it from you with no effort, no nothing, just pull a rug from under your feet and use it as theirs is like kind of it gets kind of annoying as a content creator, as any type of creator in general.
With the Maryland rapper even going as far to say that K-Dot's landmark major label debut actually went over his head at first.
I didn't like it because I wasn't into Kendrick Lamar doing all his weird voices. I didn't like that. I like J. Cole. I didn't like all these skits. I didn't like having to sit through 9 minutes of a song. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. And then I loved it because I sat with it.
On other occasions, Logic suggested that any similarities between his music and that of K-Dot are a byproduct of them both operating at the top of their game. When you make great music, I think they compare you to great artists. You also have to understand that a lot of the musicians I was working with are from the TDE camp. It's like that musicality of having Terrace Martin there or Tay Beast from Digiphonics, you know? I think they're realizing this. Regardless of his many protests and different vantage points that he's put forth, it still doesn't change the fact that this notion has persisted to such an extent that a video entitled "Logic Stealing from Kendrick Lamar for 5 minutes straight" has over 400,000 views on YouTube. Next, we have Playboi Carti, specifically his kids Mario Judah and Yeet. Given that he's the focal point of a cult fan base and youth movement, it should be entirely unsurprising that some budding artists have been inspired by Playboi Carti. With Die Lit and his self-titled project viewed as sacred texts, Mario Judah, who exploded onto the scene with his own metal influence,
what happened to Mario Judah?
Was so proficient at parodying his hero's sound that he released music copying Carti as a way to leverage the release of Whole Lotta Red.
Yo! Playboi Carti! Where's Whole Lotta Red, bro? It's been 2 years, bro. If it's not here and delivered to the world before December 6th, I will drop it myself. Do you understand? This is not a game. This is not a drill. This is not a test. Drop Whole Lotta Red or I will do it for you before December 6th.
Bro, stop all that damn
When the
yelling in
record
my
never showed up
fucking
on the
ear.
deadline, Mario stuck to his word and delivered a project which had all the hallmarks of Carti's trademark style, gaining him both the annoyance and begrudging respect of Carti's cult-like fanbase. Rather than being even marginally malicious, Mario's decision was based off his own personal affinity for Carti, and it's a love that hasn't waned even as he became a star in his own right.
That as he comes out and drops, I'm just gonna be happy, bro. Even before I was like being an artist, bro, I was one of those kids in the comment section. Like when nobody knew me, like, bro, drop Whole Lotta Red. I felt like now that when I had a platform, I could speak on it and try to get him to drop and like stick up for like the people who want it. You know?
Yet, while Mario may be the only man who has actively sought to recreate
Crazy. Don't bash me for this. I've heard of Yeet, but I never heard not one song from. Y'all recommend some songs from Yeet? Cause I never heard not one song from him, and I think it's about time that I hear something from him.
crucial in building his reputation within the game.
3 industry artists literally looked at me and said, half of the reason why Yeet is popping is because people think that Carti with him. People care about who Carti with, who sounds like him. I've got just more appreciation for Carti.
Next up, Cordae. When Cordae first came out of the gate, he built himself as an emboldened and lyrically adept voice for a new generation who had
he's a
enough
great
of
lyricist.
old heads critiquing them. In his
EMC? Let me know if y'all agree with that or not. What's your opinion on that comment?
From a rap.
He's been doing decent recently. Like I forgot who he doing songs with now, but I think that's a great duo for Cordae. He dropped the whole YBN thing, and I think that's very dope for him. And rest in peace to
productions
Juice
during
WRLD
their
too.
heyday, Juice WRLD and the Kid Leroy may have come from vastly different backgrounds, but were evidently kindred spirits. In fact, for the Australian Leroy, it was Juice who encouraged him to head stateside in the first place.
I was a fan, so that was really another reason why I really, was with them so hard, because I just love Juice and what he was doing. So I learned a lot of stuff being around him and his process and how he records. I definitely did learn a lot.
Leroy has never shied away from the tutelage he received from Juice, but maintained that it was overstated at times.
So I just observe a lot of the stuff that he did. People always think that he gave me a rule book about how to record it, but no, it was really just me observing.
Having claimed that before we even met you were my favorite artist, in the promotional content which accompanied his tribute song Tell Me Why, it's clear that Leroy feels a responsibility to pay homage to his hero wherever possible, even after parting ways with Bibby and Grade A. Post Malone. When Post Malone first came out of the gate, his presence was one that was
White
met with
Ives
confusion.
song.
Initially seeming more like a pastiche of hip-hop than an active participant in it, his early tracks such as White Iverson were heavily steeped in the melodic, auto-tune rich style of artists who have found a profitable middle ground between decadence and sadness. And as the hits kept coming, some believe that Post's vocal style and trap production had its roots in the gloriously toxic discography of Future. I love his music, but you can't tell me that that ain't Future, said T.I. of Posty's earlier output in 2019. There's some Future in there. He does it well, but let's call it what it is. Even as he was pejoratively labeled a fake Future by Charlamagne the God, Post has never steered away from the influence that
Nah,
Future had on him.
I don't really compare him to like Future. Like, let me know what y'all think about that too. I don't.
During the early stages of his career.
Oh, I've always been a big Future fan. He's Trap Jesus. He's got a lot of soul in his voice. A lot of haters don't really give him the credit that he deserves because auto-tune, but he's a fantastic vocalist.
Despite accusations that he's essentially derived much of his style from Future, the duo have since collaborated on numerous occasions, including Hollywood's bleeding standout, Die For Me. In recent years, few people have evolved and garnered respect for their artistic growth quite like 21 Savage. Having navigated far away from where he was in the days of Issa the album, the UK-born, Atlanta-based artist has now surpassed everyone's expectations of him and has become a force in the culture in the process. Unsurprisingly, this has meant that some people have taken aspects of his approach and aligned them with their own, most notably Florida's Nardo Wick. Equipped with the same sort of eerily sedate delivery and a gritty upbringing to boot, many fans believe that he was culling directly from the 21 Savage playbook. But to Nardo's mind, it was not only completely unintended, but it was also just a matter of content. I understand it now a little bit, he told XXL, cause now I done sat down and really listened to him. We both dark, that's where people get it from. As for whether or not 21 had been aggravated by the similarities in style, any speculation that it may cause friction between the two was all but put to bed when the pair linked up for the Who Want the Smoke remix. Perhaps imitation is the greatest form of flattery, but without a new spin on an original style, continued imitation is perhaps one of the greatest crimes a rapper can commit. Rappers sounding like other rappers is bound to happen though, and there's plenty of space in the game to appreciate younger artists being heavily influenced by older artists and taking the flows and sounds of OGs that much further.
I think with that, I think it's not always purposely. Sometimes it just happens if you listen to an artist a lot and then you go in the booth and it just comes off like that, probably accidentally. But sometimes people do it purposely. With that being said, let me know what y'all opinion is in the comment section down below. I appreciate y'all for the love and support. Love is love, and I'm gonna catch y'all in the next video.